Agud Voch Raboisai. Lidu Nishmasi Mirosi Rus Mordechai. Welcome to all the guests. There's a number of them. I see at least 7, 8. You know what? Raise your hand if you're a guest and you want to be called out. Shali, what's your name? Shlomo Asbel from? I can't. Edmonton. Oh, Shalom Aleichem. That's a first. And since you didn't want to raise your hand, what's your name? Yudah came and Shalom Aleichem from? Oh, really? He finished with the brachas. He's not going on the cruise. No, he just finished with the brachas. He didn't do anything else with us. If you do tshuva, maybe we'll consider it. Rabbi Isai, I want to say, what's your name? What's the last name? From? Modi'in. And originally? Tina. Shalom Aleichem. We have some Bachrim here. Rabbi Levine. What's your first name? Shlomo Zalman? From New York. From the Cheder. You went to the Cheder, the Cheder. Together with Dessler, these were my guests for Shabbos. So I almost know their names. Who else was my guest here? Oh, what's his name? Shleimi. And YY. He had a matzav. Okay. Who? Oh, Baruch, but somebody took a seat. So I'm never going to let myself down with that one. Okay, Rav Eli, I just want to show you this picture. Somebody sent me. Now I started getting it in. I got it came in from 10 different people. This is some sort of meme. I don't know. Rav Eli Stefansky at the border trying to sign up people for the daf. Okay. I just read this here as I was sitting here, and I started laughing. So I'm going to share this with you. Rav Eli, my husband started the daf at brachas with a different shir. He joined Yeshir and Nazir as a third daf shir in the day. He enjoys the clarity of Yeshir, including the visual aids. Here's the funny part. Being that you are one of the G'daylim today, with the G'daylim quoting your line, it's not about the daf, it's about the Yomi. You're probably this Myra's Torah, okay? I'd like to ask you to give me a bracha for healthy mother and baby and nachas from all our children. Abli Ayin Hara, 3 children, a few miscarriages, okay? Bli Ayin Hara pregnant. Okay. Name Esther Baschana Elka Shifra. Should go well. Give you a bracha berabim. Since you made me laugh and it was mamish and milsa the zchus, we can start off the shir on the right foot. Shekoyach. No. The Masechta sponsor for the unity of Am Yisrael. The Parnas HaChodesh, the last day. Nishma Zechariah ben Moshe, Nishma Zechariah bas Yosef. I believe this sponsor has been doing it for many months already. Last day. Parnas HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be a zchus for Rav Eli, siyadta Shemayin, teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. Parnas HaChodesh, Mazal Tov Ahron, Rav Eli, and the entire mishpacha on the birth of Sophia Ruth. Parnas HaShavua, zchus for my daughters, SB bas SR and EM bas SR, to find shidduchim b'karev. Amen. I'd rather have a shidduch for them. NB bas TR, whatever. No, it's just a joke. Presser family, zchus for Refuah shelaima for our mother Rochel bas Rivka Hennah. Parnas hayoim Moshe Banda. L'zchus yom uledet Moshe Eliezer ben Brindel atzlach b'chol yinim v'lo la'abed hazman b'shtuyot l'dog alibud yomov v'lo alibud domov. Shalom Aleichem, guys on Zoom. It's Motzei Shabbos. Where's the Manchester Chevra? They're on there somewhere. Parnas hayoim Etel bas Masho for Refuah shelaima and a successful surgery. Art of the month anonymous for the zchus for an easy childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. Who? Oh, Donny, it's a sponsorship? Yeah. What is it? Tell me again. The chayal that was nifter today in Aza was your son's commander. What's a mempe? officer. And it should be Lili Nishmasoi. What's his name again? Eyal Shuminov or something? Shuminov. Eyal Shuminov. He did the daf? Wow. Unbelievable. Okay, the Shom should have an aliyah. All right. Rabbi Isai, just a few musagim in Shas before we start. We had the musag. We don't have that many musagim this week. We had. I just was lazy and I didn't put them in as musagim. Kol shebechatas meisa b'asham roya. There are 5 chatois that die. That you can't keep them. You just put them in a pen and you let them starve to death. So if that's the halacha by a chatos, whatever that is, let's say chatas shemesu ba'aleh, if the owner of the chatas dies, you don't bring the chatas. You can't get a kapara after misa. So the chatas dies. If the same exact thing happens by a asham, the owner dies, so we don't kill the asham, we let it graze, and then when it befalls a mum, then we sell it, the money transfers and becomes kadosh, and you buy a oila with it. Here's the interesting one. Does anybody remember this one? Rishus yoresh ki rishus lekeach. What does that mean? That when someone inherits a Yerusha, hold on, before I forget, I want to say Mazal Tov to God Carlos. He adopted a baby girl, big Bal Chesed. He's busy doing chasadim, so, here he is. Shalom Aleichem, God. It should go well. Should be zoich to bring her up. L'Torah, l'chuppah, l'masim toivim. It's a tremendous chesed, tremendous. Like the biggest chesed you could do. Take somebody in and not your own kid and bring them up as your own. Unbelievable. Rishus Yoresh, right? What's that guy's name next to you? Yonatan. You're a big tzaddik, right? Yeah. Rishus Yoresh, Rishus Lekeach means that when a person inherits something, there's a shayla, like machlokes in the Gemara, does it transfer rishuyos? Because in order to acquire something, you need shinui rishus, you need yush and shinui rishus. Is this considered a shinui rishus? Is it considered like purchasing it? Rishus lekeach, rishus yoresh, rishus lekeach. Ger Toishav, throughout all Shas, Ger Toishav is a person who is Mekayim Sheva Mitzvahs B'nei Noach and he's mufresh from Avodah Zarah. Rabbi Isai, today is Daf Kuf Yud Daled, but we are holding in the middle of Daf Kuf Yud Gimel and base somewhere. Gufa, excellent. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 lines from the bottom. We have a lot to make up over here. Omar Shmuel, Dina de Malchusa Dina. Gufa, Omar Shmuel, Dina de Malchusa Dina. You see it? So we had all sugya, Dina de Malchusa Dina. Is it only by a king? Is it also by governments? Is it all governments, even in Eretz Yisrael? Today, not today. Dina de Malchusa Dina. Omar Rava Teda, I'll prove to you that Dina de Malchusa Dina. The Katla Dike V'Gashri Gishrei, they do something like this. I don't know, okay. I could still hear it. Here's the picture. They knock down trees. They go into your backyard without permission, eminent domain sort of, and they take the tree and they build a gesher, they build a bridge. Now, if it was Gneva, then you wouldn't be allowed to use the bridge. And we allow someone to walk over the bridge. Maybe there's yush, maybe that's why you're allowed to go over the bridge. We know that you need these two things in conjunction, yush and shinu rishus. It's not enough just yush. You need a shinu rishus. Where is the shinu rishus when he takes the tree out of your backyard and puts it in the middle of the street somewhere, in a public domain in the middle of Rishus Harabim? There's not a shinu rishus. Shinu rishus means to take it from my rishus into yours, not to put it in the middle of a public place. Elamai, it must be that this Dina de Malchusa Dina, forget Yush. Dina de Malchusa Dina, they have the right, the king has the right to take your tree. You live in his country. If you go with that svara, you live in that country on condition that you allow him to do whatever he needs to do. Whether it is take taxes from you, to take your trees, whatever it is. Says Gemara, this guy in charge, the moichas, that goes around taking people's trees, he's a shliach from the king. The king didn't tell him to take all the trees for the bridge from your backyard. He said, break it up, make it fair. From all the communities, and he went ahead and chopped these trees from one location. It's not fair. Says Gemara, the shliach, the agent of the king, is like a king. He doesn't want to be busy picking one tree from Yerushalayim, the other tree from Haifa, Tel Aviv. It's too much work. So he goes to one place. Those people from that place have a zchus to go and collect their money from Tel Aviv and from Haifa, from all the other places. You're too lazy to go to Tel Aviv and get your money from them. That's your problem. He should have gone around and collecting their money. The king's agent is lazy, but he gives you the opportunity to collect your money from different places. Instead of him cutting the trees from different places, you collect your money from different places. You don't want to, that's your thing. Another very interesting halachas. It literally seems like it's just like the Gemara is trying to fit all these halachas in before we finish Bava Kama. Which, Rav Eli, did anybody here speak to their friends over Shabbos? Anybody was matzliach to get somebody? Yosef. For real? Yeah, but you don't count because you work for MDY. Anybody that's not on salary here should all be embarrassed yourselves. Anybody that's under the age of 15, do not raise your hand. Now, who did you get? A kid in your yeshiva. Yosef, how come you didn't get anybody? What's pshat? Wow, it's unbelievable. I can't believe it. Mamish in shock. How about you, Morty?
Of course.
It's okay.
Working on it.
Like your life depends on it. That's how you work on it. All right, Madam. Yeah.
May have gotten the guy. You want to mention his name? Rocky Raymond in Lakewood.
Rocky Raymond in Lakewood. What about him?
He's on the fence. Maybe if you tell him to do it.
It's a Mil Shabbos now. Okay, these people, they're partners. They own the land together. They have a granary, and you have to pay taxes. They knew that the guy is showing up, or whatever the reason is. They got out of there quick, but they left the slowpoke behind. Comes the tax collector, and he says, "Where are your friends?" They left. Okay, you pay. The halacha is he has to pay for his friends, and of course he gets the money from his friends. Again, it's one of these things like the trees. It's not the agent's business to go knocking on everybody's door and finding everybody, locating everybody. If you're part of a group, one guy's going to have to take the brunt for everybody. That's because they're all partners in the field. In those days, there used to be an oris, a sharecropper. A guy had a field, he didn't want to work it, he gave it to somebody else to work it. That guy that works it gets a third or whatever the normal rate is, and the owner gets the rest. The oris is not a partner in the field. He gets a partnership in the produce. Another halacha. Barmosa miavet. Again, he could go to a guy in the neighborhood here in Ramat Bet Shemesh. It makes a lot of sense. You go in a building. You're going to start fight. This guy went away for Shabbos. This guy's here. He goes to one guy in the first floor. He doesn't even go up the elevator. He takes the arnona for everybody. Let that guy, the head, the guy that's in charge of Arabayit, Nebuch, he has to go to all the neighbors and figure it out. This is for arnona. How do you say arnona in English? Property tax. Uchroga. They used to have a tax on each head. Each person had to pay a tax. The Haishata, this year's, Avashata the Chalif, Hoyel, Vipais Malko Chalif. As we explained already, who's this guy? Who's this Moiches guy? He bought the rights from the king to collect. It's a very simple method. The king doesn't have time. Obviously, he himself is not going to go collect. He's also not going to let his people collect. Why? Because they'll steal from him. So he sells it off. I sell the right for you to collect in this neighborhood, this in this city. So people would buy those rights. You pay $10 million for the rights to collect taxes in Yerushalayim, and you could, if you do a good job, you'll raise 12 million. But like this, the king gets his money, it's guaranteed, and he doesn't have to work. The king sold you the rights for Tav Shin Pei Gimel. You can't go now in Tav Shin Pei Dalet and start collecting things for Tav Shin Pei Gimel. It's over, done. You can only do as much as the king sold to you. V'amarava. Hainui, yeah, like 6 lines from the bottom. Here's a picture. What they would do is they would take their animals and gather them in like a pen, and it was like nice, fresh, natural fertilization. And when the area is fertilized, move them over. So, a guy that does this within the city limits, also likach mehem, you're not allowed to buy any animals from him. Why? Because it might not be his animal. There's a good chance he stole somebody's animal. He mixes in the animals of the city with his own. Like we learned, if a guy, it's part of our Mishnah, a guy has a box full of money that doesn't belong to him, he's a moiches, he's a ganav, so you're not allowed to use him, you're not allowed to change money with him, because some of the money is a gneva. Over here also, you're not allowed to buy from a guy that he's an avi's ganav. But if he works outside of the tchum, this over here seems to me like a picture of outside the tchum. Over there, you don't have animals that he's stealing. Those are his own animals. If the owners are chasing the guy, even though he's out of the tchum, obviously he did something wrong. He's a ganav, so you can't buy animals from him. Says Gemara, Machar is Rava v'Yisema Ravuna. Rava would make announcements. The Salkin Leila, if you're a person going to Eretz Yisrael, or you're making a Yerida, you're going from Eretz Yisrael down to Bava, you should know. The Kitzer, he's making an announcement to everybody. All the Bnei Eretz Yisrael, all the Bnei Bava, everyone. You should just know this halacha. If you know testimony, you could testify for a kusi. They take out this, they're trying to take out these 3 words because it seems like it's from the censor. It's just like to make the kusim or the kananim, the terrible Zara feel better about themselves. The Gemara is not saying this halacha about them. If you could testify for a kusi, you're not allowed to. Why? Because they have different halachas than us. We hold. Here's a kusi, if you want to see a kusi. There's machlokes in the Gemara, are kusim geirei arayis or geirei emes? Were they forced by the lions, or this is based on the real? This is what kusim look like these days. Samaritans, yeah. They live where? Har Grizim. Kitzer, they actually have Sefer Torah, they have a whole thing, they do a Korban Pesach. Fine. If they're real or not, but regardless, even if they're real, they stop keeping a lot of mitzvahs. And one of the things they do is they rely on an Eid Echad. We don't, so you're going to testify for them, and based on your testimony, they're going to take money out of somebody else. Can't do that. If you're 1 out of 2 witnesses, that's okay. You're allowed to testify a normal testimony. If you're in a funny place, like a small village, they don't know what they're doing there. You're in the government building. They won't use one to take money out. The most they'll do is force the guy to make a shvuah like we do. They won't. So that's okay to force the guy to make a shvuah, then you could do that. So Rav Huna asked us, says Rav Ashi, Adum Choshev the Samchi Alei Kibei Trei. The famous Ma'aseh of the Chavetz Chaim. probably the famous Maisa of the Chofetz Chaim. He was asked to testify in a case, and the lawyer got up there and said, they say about the Chofetz Chaim that. So he once asked somebody to take a suitcase for him, and he thought that maybe it's stealing because he didn't pay for a ticket. So he went and he bought a ticket and he ripped it up. So the judge said, "You're that stupid to believe that story?" He said, "No, I don't believe the story. But you know what? They don't say that story about me and you. They say it about him." It's a big yesod. What do people say about a certain person? If people rely, the Chofetz Chaim shows up in court, and they rely on him. They look at him and they respect him. The goyim respect sometimes. They respect the yid, the chashav yid, a rabbi. So now they're going to rely on me like two edim. Are they going to take money out of somebody else? And Mimela, I'm not allowed to testify. Perhaps you can't get out of it. Everybody knows where the Chofetz Chaim is. There's no hiding. And Mimela, that's it. You go, take it. Omer Ravashi. There's a musug in the Torah. It says in the Torah that you should be good to others. Good, go above and beyond. If your neighbor has a field right next to yours, it's called bar metzra, the din of the bar metzra. If he has a field right next to yours, so you should sell it to him. Why? Because it makes his life easier. He doesn't have to schlep his tractor from different parcels. He just goes and does one. In one day, he'll plow the entire thing. Chayiv? No. It's a halacha. You should do it. So, if your neighbor is a ovid kachavim, he worships idols. Obviously, today we don't have any idol worshippers. So it's not neged to our goyim. We're on YouTube. Huh? What? I don't know. True. So you're saying it has to be in Chutz La'aretz. I hear. Yeah, you're right. If you sell a piece of land to an idol worshiper that's next to your friend's lot, you put him a. Now, just to qualify this, if the non-Jew pays more than market, you're allowed to sell it to him. If the non-Jew is buying it because he wants to take over the neighborhood, then you're not allowed to sell to him, even if he overpays. This happens all the time in America, in London, and all sorts of places. In south side of Chicago, they do a tour on Tisha B'Av. You go there. I've seen it with my own eyes. The churches in south side of Chicago, they have big Magen Davids and they have Hebrew words, all of them. They used to be big shuls, and unfortunately, they turned into churches. That's also, I think, the Chofetz Chaim talks about people that talk in shul. When you talk in shul, eventually the curse is that the shul will turn into a church. My taima, inema, not a church, a place of ovid kachavim, of idol worshipping. That's what it turned into. Churches. Yeah, v'amamar zavim meyakum v'zavim la'akum lekem mishum dina de bar metzra. Wait a minute. Sorry. My time, mishum the bar metzra. If the problem is bar metzra, there is no halacha bar metzra with a guy. V'amar zavim meyakum v'zavim la'akum lekem mishum dina de bar metzra. You're allowed to buy and sell to a guy. Elo damrin lei obviously aryo a lion Am Yisrael. You put somebody. I love how the article is like they spent triple the amount of time writing these dapim because it throws them for a loop. They don't know what to do. Their gemaras are all over all the universities everywhere, all over the world. So they have to be very careful. So like you put a lion next to my. What do you mean? Put a lion because he's a lion? No, because he doesn't do the halachas of a yid. And Yidden have certain halachas on the border. You can't do this. You can't plant like that. They don't care about our halachas. So you're causing me damage. Here we have a little bit of if I couldn't use this for Mavriya Charim and Nichsi Chaber, we'll just use it here. Dem die Weisag. Okay. I asked him to do it for Mavrich Harib and Nichsi Chaberoi. Mavrich Harib and Nichsi Chaberoi came and went, and a week later he sends it to me. Shkoyach. Okay. I noticed you were wearing MDY socks, Taka. You want to show the oil? You want to like put your foot on the table? Huh? I hope nobody else is wearing. I expect my guests to wear MDY socks. I don't expect that. Anybody else wearing? By the way, when I was in, it was London or Manchester, one of those places. There was a whole table, the whole table, every single one was wearing the socks. You were there? You saw it? It was Manchester? What, to the guys then? So they put it over. Okay, thank you, I really appreciated this. It meant a lot to me. Okay. This is the famous Maisa where, how do I say this B'lashon Nakia so I don't get thrown off for YouTube? I don't know. It's like, huh? I should say it in Hebrew. There was a guy that had a neighbor that was an Eino Yehudi. And they both wanted to sell their houses and they both did a renovation. And the guy, he put his house on the market for $1 million. But the Eino Yehudi put his house on the market for $2 million. So he says, what are you doing? He says, listen, whoever buys my house is going to be living next to you. Whoever buys your house is going to be living next to me. So your house is actually worth half of mine. Okay, whatever. They go back in a Yehudi, Eino Yehudi, on Google it until they find out this. Okay. Then we have some guy that they used to learn in yeshiva that's like an anti, he'll tell Dailam. So, if you sell your place to a lion, so you could sue him for damages. All right, Rabbi said, brand new Mishnah, brand new Sugya. Mishnah is sponsored by Moshe Banda, zchus, limud Torah and atzlach parnasa. Not no moichsim is chamoyroi, v'nasaloi chamoracher. So unfortunately, it happened on October 7th. We could relate a little bit. October 8th, the government came and took people's cars, vans, trucks, whatever they had. There's a law. Also, I don't know what it's called even. It's like tzav. What is it called? Tzav shmona? Tzav shmona. They come. They took ambulances from Atzola, from whatever they needed. Something similar. The Moiches comes, takes your donkey. I need it. We need it for the king. I feel bad for you. I'm going to give you a shvacha maisa donkey. Something much weaker. Not the listener is ksusoi. The Ganav, he's a nice guy. He makes him take off his coat and he gives him, he sees his coat, so he gives him something shvach. Okay. This mamish reminds me, I just thought about this maisa. I might have told it to you just recently. I was in Port Authority and a frum Israeli guy came over to me and said that he's stuck, he needs money, a whole maisa. He says, I'll give you my coat as a mashkin. So I called up my father. I don't know why. I was young, I was like 15, 16. I said, this guy, Israeli, hold on a second. So, what should I do? And I didn't, it's not like we had cell phones. I was like on a payphone or something. He says, you know what you should do? Run. That's what he told me. I'm not joking. Run. Just start running. So I told the guy, I'm sorry, I can't. And I booked out of there. All of a sudden, I'm not Maisa Shaya. He starts screaming, "Hey, Leroy!" Whatever. He's like, this big guy comes out of the corner. They try to trap me. I'm not making this up. A guy, he looked from the whole thing, had a beard. He said he's going to sell Fosburg Yeshiva. I remember the whole story. He said he's going to give me his coat as a mashkin, and we'll bring it back. This. It was just a scam. Anyway, spoke in Hebrew, spoke this. That's the guy I'm scared of. He's going to read this Gemara and whatever. So, not listen with zchus and not zchus achers. Harei lo shelaima b'nei sha'ba'alim misiyashimim. So, because the original owner becomes miyush, it seems like from the Mishnah. If you read it again, let's read it slowly. Mipnei sha'ba'alim misiyashimim. There's an automatic assumption that there's yush over here. You don't have to hear the owner saying it, right? It says mipnei sha'ba'alim misiyashimim. There was yush. The Gemara is going to address this. Because a second later, it's going to say that you have to hear the person say that he's miyash. Hamatzil min anor, you find something in the river, oy min hagayos, or here. So maybe that guy that took the diamond, the diver that went down and he was hired and the whole thing, maybe it's min anor. There's yush. Oy min hagayos, or from a soldier, oy min alistin, robbers, im nisiyashu. Oh, so over here it says im nisiyashu. If you heard straight out, the guy said, "Vaili l'chesaron kiss, I'm a yash. I'm never going to find it. Oh, why did this happen to me?" Okay. If you know for a fact that there's yush, then harei l'shalot. V'chein chil shel dvarim. Chil shel dvarim, swarm of bees. Oh, here, Yoshi did one of these. I forgot to show this. This is if the Moichas takes your donkey. Bizman hazeh. Okay. Stefansky Avenue. Shkoyach. Cars MDY, but the truck is IRS. Okay, I got it. What else? Well, I want to show you. Here's Stam Nechil Shel Dvarim. So today, it's a big business. You have a orchard or something, you need bees because they pollinate the crop. So you call up the bee guy and he comes in with a truck of bees. I just thought this was fascinating. This is on the highway, place you don't want to be. No pun intended. So the whole truck flipped over with millions of bees. And they are over there, you see the guys in the white suits, the hazmat guys, trying to collect whatever bees they can. Okay. Was that another one? Okay. So, Nechil Shel Dvarim. The whole hive, the whole swarm of bees went into somebody else's rishos. If the owner gave up, I mean, they're flying creatures and they're small. How are you going to catch them? A woman or a minor, a katan, could say, we know that it came from over here. And he could even go into his friend's yard and grab it. And if he stomps on some vegetables to get it, you have to pay for it. So you're allowed to go in there without permission. You can't, here's a soich, we had this already. So all the bees are on the guy's tree. So what you do is just chop, bring it home, and Am Yisrael. But it's not your tree to chop. So you're not allowed to do it on condition that you're going to pay money. It's not true. There's a big loss here. These bees are worth a lot of money. People out there, they steal bees. You know, they go these trucks, they drop the boxes down. You come when nobody's looking, you take the box of bees. It's worth a lot of money. It's a problem. So you're allowed to chop it and take your bees, and you pay for the branch. Let's say it's a nice esrog tree. The branch is worth a lot of money. You have to pay for it. Tana. Im notal, if the moichas takes your donkey, your car, whatever it is, you must give back the donkey to the original owner. And that's not like our Mishnah. We learned in our Mishnah, you don't have to. Because he holds, this Brisa holds, that it never became yours. The moichas doesn't have the right to give over a donkey that he doesn't own. It only got to you through an Isra. But there's another mandoma that says no. If you feel like giving it back, give it back. My time. In fact, you were koinit la halacha. Miu. If you want to be a chassid, do lifnim mishur sadin. Then you have the right. You should. It's a good thing to give it back. Next sugya. It's yours because the balim are misyash. If the moichas gives you a donkey that used to be somebody else, there's yush. Because we're talking about a non-Jew. But when it comes to Jew, now we have two svaras you could say. You could say that a Jew is different than a guy for the better or for the worse. Why? You could say, listen, Yisrael, he's Yer Shemaim. I'm going to take him to the entire tomorrow. I'll take it back. Masculine, Rav Yosef, Adarabba. You can say, Fakert Sfar, Ibcha Mistabra, Akum, the Dana Begesi. They, says Rashi, they have a din with Gaiva, which means they use Svara, their own logic. Yeah? Go to any Arab country. Guy did this and that. He says, he's a Ritzech. Let me look at him. Yeah, he looks like a Ritzech. Off with his head. Yeah, they're not going to listen to Eidim and this and that and testimony. Garnish. The way they feel in Russia. You think they're going to listen to testimony from 5 different Eidim? No. It goes Begaiva. And also Koyach. If you don't listen to the Psak Din, you get a few Zetzes. Think about Russia for a second. Loi miyash. So Memela, he doesn't have Yush. Because he knows he's going to get it back. Yisrael, given the Amri Meimar, it's just words. The Bezin said, I paskin like you. Okay. He's not going to listen. He doesn't have faith that he's going to get his stuff back. Miyash. Then he has Yush. Elo, says the Gemara, Yidmar, Seif Yidmar. So according to Rashi, the Gemara is coming to explain that contradiction that we had in the Mishnah. On the one hand, it seems in the Mishnah that there's an automatic Yush. On the other part of the Mishnah seems that's not automatic, that you have to hear the Yush straight out. So Mela says like this: if you save it from a non-Jew, then it depends. If there was Yush, great. But Stamaloi, the Bailam is not Misyash. There is no Yush. So over here we're saying fakir. That over here, because that's only by a guy, but by a Jew, since there's the Torah and they pass in his favor or against, so there is Yush. So that explains why the Mishnah says 2 different things. Depends on the case. Not awesome. We know when it comes to Tumah, if you have a flat piece of leather, it's not Tameh, it's not Mekabel Tumah. It only becomes Tameh, even a piece of wood, if you fashioned it into a kli. Now, you could decide that this flat piece of leather like this is a kli. From now on, I'm going to be using it as a bookmarker. So it became a kli. How do I do that? In my head. I decide in my head. So, says the Gemara, if you're a private citizen, great. But if this is what you do for a living, you cannot decide with your head that it's Mikabel Tumah, that it's a Kli. Why? Because you're going to sell it tomorrow and the guy is going to decide to make it into shoes. You're going to take this piece of leather and make it into something else. So you're not the one that makes the decision to make it Tumah. So a Gazlan, let's go back to this. The difference between a Ganav and a Gazlan. A Gazlan does it in broad daylight. A Ganav is scared of people, he steals at night. So let me ask you, what's more of a svara? What makes more sense? When is a person misyayish? When he gets robbed by somebody he didn't see in the middle of the night? Or when he knows who the person is? What's the svara? They don't see his face, but guess what? His face, he's a mafia guy. So I'll tell you, like I said the story, but I'll just a guy in you're from Brooklyn. You know about the garage? They sell suits. You know about the garage. Who owns it? Italians what? Mafioso, right? Back of the truck. So I went to buy a suit there. First mistake. You guys know the story, but we'll say it again for the new guys. Come out of the store, and I did what they do in Brooklyn. There was a car parked really close to me. So you give them a little nudge, and you can back up. You don't care if you hit the fender that much. People in Brooklyn now have these fender protectors. They go around with the rubbers on the fender. You never saw it? Okay, whatever. We'll send you a picture. So I hit the guy. The guy says, "Get out of your car." Kids, hey, Tony. He had a little guy next to him. He's a big guy. Hey, Tony, how much damage did the guy do here? Oh no. How much damage did the guy do here? So Tony, hey boss, I think it's $500. Yeah, $500. Now there's nothing, zero. No, you can't even, with the microscope you couldn't see. He says, listen, give me $500. I don't have $500. I just, nothing. He says, you don't have go home and get me $500. I said, okay. He says, if you don't go home and get me $500, I know where you live. I'm going to do a shidduchim on you. I said, what? I'm going to do a shidduchim on you. You heard me. That was it. So I come home. I told my father, this guy says he's going to do a shidduchim on me. It says, what's a shidduchim? I said, I know as much as you know, but I don't want to have a shidduchim. So my father gave me $500. Now, you hear why? I saw the guy's face. I know exactly what he looks like. But he got my $500. I went back like a tatala. I gave him the $500. You don't want to start out with the mafia. He probably wasn't a mafia garnish. He's the garbage cleaner of the mafia. And he pretended he was mafia, but he got $500 from me. For nothing.
They just would have suited Emporio. I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have Emporio in those days. Emporio.
You guys know what shidduchim is?
Shidduchim means, I don't know what it means. Ask an Italian. It means that you're not going to be alive anymore tomorrow. Whatever. That's what it means. It's like shidduch haken. I don't know what it is. It's not a good thing. It wasn't that he's going to make me pancakes. I can promise you that. It was something not good. I'll never forget the lashon. Shidduchim. V'shel gano machshavim etamason. Oh. So sometimes, yeah. Or another ma'isa, like my ma'isa, I'm not going to say it over again, but the ma'isa in Port Authority where I saw the guy that stole from me, and I went to look for him, and I found him, we got the money back, and he's in jail. So it's two types. The svar could go both ways. My point is the svar could go both ways. Sometimes you see a Goslin, he's such a tough guy. It doesn't matter that you saw him, you didn't see him. You're never going to get the money out of him. When a Ganav steals it, there's Yush. So, he could be metama with his head, a Ganav. The opposite. He's such a tough guy. Everybody's scared of him, so you miyash right away. Ganav, no, fakert. Because you don't know who it is. Or, Shel Gazla Machshavim et Hamasa, meaning there was Yush. Shel Ganav Machshavim, there was no Yush. There's no Yush because the guy thinks, oh, I'm going to find it one day. I'm going to find it. That we don't know if there was Yush or not. If you know that there's Yush, everybody agrees that he's koina. Okay, so we have to remember this. There's machlokes whether there's a machlokes when you know that there's yush. Don't argue with hula. The snambim as season of say he has a right from the Mishnah. The fish because it says in the Mishnah because there was no yush. Time of the it seems like from the Mishnah once there's yush, you could keep that donkey, you keep what the Meichas gives you, meaning yush. No. What I learned is that yes, there might be yush, but in his heart there's no yush. Okay, I didn't see anybody speak about it, and you could look into it. Dvarim Shebelev and Varim. What do you mean in his heart? But maybe yush just means it's a fact. Did you give up or did you not give up? Just because you said something, you said I gave up, Lamaisi you didn't give up, so it's not yush. Rabbi said the good news is that this sugya is going to be repeated at least 3 times, literally word for word, svara for svara, almost, with a little variation here and there. But it's like chazar. We're going to do chazar all the way to like the middle of Amud Beis. So let's go, and then we're going to start flying. So don't get mad at me when I don't translate every word. Says the Gemara, Tnan. Not no moichsim chamoiroi. Mani. Irabonon kashi gazlan. Oh, so let's just look at this for a second. It's very, very simple. You have a Tanakama and you have Reb Shimon. They just say the opposite of each other. If you take the Gazlan, take the guy on the left. According to Tanakama, there's no Yush by Gazlan. According to Reb Shimon, there is Yush by Gazlan. Yeah? We said. Sometimes the guy's a tough guy from the garage. You're miyayish right away. Reb Shimon says you're miyayish. Finished. I didn't think about going to the cops. There's nothing you go to the cops. You go to the cops, you have him arrested, and all of a sudden there's a shilukin. It's not kedai. So, yeah, there's Yush. Yush right away. No, we bought a house in Kensington. That's where I lived then. Every Sheni v'Chamishi, I knock on the door. Yo, it's Tony. We found out they were looking for this guy. They wanted to do a shilukin on him. So they sent the guy every single week. They would look to see if the guy's there. They said, no, he moved a long time. You sure? Yeah, you sure. Okay. Like this, like for a year and a half, with some different people, different things. When you live there, you know what I'm talking about. You don't mess with those guys. So, there's Yush. Fine. Wow. We have to move because the Israelis are already coming and there's another shir in 15 minutes. All right. Now, Irabonon Kashi Gazlan. So there's a big problem here. And we're going to have the same problem over and over. What about a Gazlan? A Gazlan is what's a moichas? Think about it. This tax guy, he's a Gazlan or a Ganav? He's a Gazlan. He comes in broad daylight and he takes your money. So according to Rabbanon, you see Rabbanon say there's no Yush by a Gazlan. We just said there is Yush by a moichas. Irib Shimon, Kashi Ganav. We have a problem with the listim. So what do we do? According to it says that if we know that the owner had Yush, there is a kinyan do a b'divrei hakol. But if there's a machlokes, hamani lo Rabbanon lo Shimon, so our mission doesn't go well. It says Gemara, but listen mezuyim. There's a list of mezuyim at gunpoint. Shilukin. The list of mezuyim Reb Shimoni. Now what? Reb Shimon says there's Yush. Yachi hainu Gazlan. But then it's the same exact case as a Gazlan. Gazlan and list of mezuyim. So you want to know, trade Gavin and Gazlan. There's two types. There's a guy that's not scared of anyone. He's the moichas. Couldn't care less about anybody in the world. And there's a guy that is scared. He's not scared of you, but he's scared of the world. Fine. Toshma. Hagan Bagazlan Vanas Hegdeshon Hegdish. Think about it for a second. Why is there a Ganav and a Gazlan and an Anos, a guy that gives you money for his neighbor? Hegdeshon Hegdish. Why is it Hegdish? How does he have the right to make it Hegdish? Because there was Yush. Which wasn't true more my source of Meiser. Because it's Yush. Mani. Irabonon Kasha Gazlan. Why? Rabbanon are the ones that say, let's go back. Rabbanon are the ones that say that there's no Yush by Gazlan. So, how come it says Mefurish Haganav veHagazlan? Both of them there's Yush. Well, according to Rabbanon, there's a big X by Yush. Reb Shimon, Kasha Ganav, it says Ganav and Gazlan, there's Yush. What about Ganav? We're talking about it's known that he had Yush with the Reakoli, and everybody agrees. El Rabadam Abidu, Namachlokis, Samani, Lo Rabbanon Reb Shimon. Maybe listen to Mizuyan. It's listen to Mizuyan with a gunpoint. Reb Shimoni. Yochi and Gazlan, the same thing. Trey Gav and Gazlan. We boy say ma. Yeah, it's just word for word, so we're going to run. And they're coming in, they're going to kick us out. Oh, and you guys have to go to sleep. The Sanya Rebbe Yomer Ganav Ki Gazlan. When it comes to the oiros, to making leather. Whoa! How are we going to do this in 3 minutes? This is a problem. Okay, we're going now to 4-speed. According to Reb Shimon, there's Yush by Gazlan. And so he says that a Ganav is like a Gazlan. Okay? That a Ganav has the same halach as a Gazlan. Look at this chart for a second. What's a Gazlan? Yush. There's Yush by Gazlan. A Ganav is like a Gazlan. Instead of it being red, it's green. On the bottom, everything's the same. There's Yush. Great. Gufa. But is that true? When I say that a Ganav is like a Gazlan, did I mean that a Gazlan like a Ganav or a Ganav is like a Gazlan? Are they both red or both green? Is the both not Yush or the both is Yush? Rabbi Oimani Ganav ki Gazlan. Ibailu. Ki Gazlan the Rabbanon Kalmar Veloy Kani? Or Dilma ki Gazlan the Reb Shimon Kalmar Vekani? Are they both red, no Yush, or they're both green, there's Yush? Toshma. Not do Moichsim Chamoire. Mani. I Rabbanon Kashi Gazlan. Rabbanon say only a Ganav there's Yush. Reb Shimon Kashiganav. Reb Shimon says only Gazan has Yush. If you say that Rebbe holds like Reb Shimon, that there is Yush on both, Hamani Rebbe he, Shumachi Kani. Eli Amers Kigazan the Rabbanon. But if you say that they're both, there's no Yush in both of them, V'loi Kani, Hamani Le Rebbe Reb Shimon Le Rabbanon. It doesn't work like anybody. But listen, Reb Shimoni, Yoginai Gazlan. Yeah, it's not word for word. Trey Gavne Gazlan. I thought this is a cute story, but the Israelis didn't laugh at it. I'll tell you to you. This is a true story. Might show you. The president of Israel told Rav Eli, he says, I want to tell you something fascinating. There's a guy in jail. He's in there for theft, and they did an early release. The judge asked him, you promise you're not going to steal again? He said, yeah. He said, no, but I want to tell the judge, I have to be honest. I'm going to steal just one more time. I want to steal a gold watch and give it to Rav Eli Levine. Because he made me Bal Tshuva. I have a curse of Toiv. See, the Americans got it. The Israelis are slow. He's about Tshuva, but he steals. Okay, whatever. Trey Gav the Gazla. Toshma. Haganav Hagazan Va'anas. Truma. We're using the same thing just for another point to see, did Rebbe mean that they're both Ganav Gazan has Yush or Ganav Gazan doesn't have Yush? Mani, Irabonon Kashigazan, Irib Shimon Kashiganav. Now, if they're both green, that's why you're kind of because there's Yush. Eli Amers Ganav Kigazan the Rabbanon, they're both no Yush, Homani. Says the Gemara, listen to Zuyim, Rib Shimini, Yochanan Gazlan. Trey Gav the Gazlan. Toshma, the master Rebbe Reb Shimon Rebbe told his son, right? We had this twice already. This is the third time. When the Mishnah says that if the father owns achrayis, he has achrayis, doesn't mean real estate. It means if the father stole a famous cow, or a donkey, you have to give that back. Why? The special halacha not to embarrass the dead. It's only because not to embarrass the father that died. You could keep it. Why? Because it's Yush. Rebbe who taught his son was saying there's Yush. Not that there's no Yush. We had a shayla. There's no Yush or there is Yush. There is Yush. The only reason you have to give it back to do the dead father a favor. But l'maisa you can keep it. Okay, new sugi. When your bees run away. We said different things. You lost your clothing or your articles in a river, or a listim, or this or that. I get it. Why do I need to tell you another thing about bees? What's so special about bees? There's a massive chiddush. I feel in the chil dvarim, the kinyan the rabbananu. Think about it. How are the bees yours? You ever lifted them? You made a kinyan hagbah. What do you do exactly? How are they yours? They multiply. How do they become yours? How do they remain yours? So they're yours, the Rabbanon, there shouldn't be any fighting. So maybe it's not really yours, it's only a shvachi kinyan in the Rabbanon, so maybe you're miyash. You have to, you still up? Givaldi. He's worried, he might fall asleep. I said, nobody falls asleep. Look around. Is anybody sleeping here? Nobody. Ask the Gemara, what do you mean they're believed? We know that a woman in a cotton cannot be made. They were stam schmoozing. You're not going to believe what just happened. We almost got stung by 1,000 bees. Really? Yeah, 1,000 bees. They came, they went from here. Okay. So based on their story, the Masich Levituma, we're going to trust them that it's Ruvain's bees. There's a special kula. We learned it just recently. What Masechta was it? Ksubis or whatever. I don't even remember. Special kula when it comes that a woman, she shouldn't be an aguna. And when? Yivamas. Oh, Yivavai. Don't say that. Shkalim, Yivamas. Okay. No, I love Yivamas, but it causes trauma for a lot of people. We got to get them back, all those guys that left in Yivamas. So, yeah. Now, the trauma kicked in, and I have no idea where I am. So, when a woman wants to remarry and she's not sure if her husband died or not, we could use Mesiach Levitumai. But in the rest of the Torah, not. But this is a case of Mesiach Levitumai by bees. It's because we can use Mesiach Levitumai because it's only a kin rabbanon. The Raisa loy, but when it comes to the Raisa not, there's a story. Rabbi's story, Malav and Malka's story time. I remember he's saying a Maisa. My father took me on his shoulders. You see it here in Eretz Yisrael. Fathers take their kids on the shoulders when they do. They learn the Aleph Beis for the first time. But as soon as a saver, he took me out of school. He threw me in the mikvah. Lecha b'truma, what a not a trauma, but okay. Bidbiluni, lecha b'truma. He said, "Oh, you're old enough to eat truma." No, if he's eating truma, what is he? He's a kohen. And my friends wouldn't touch me, so I don't become tummy from them. But Rabbi said in those days they used to live tumantara. When you played in cheder, you couldn't touch this kid because he's a kohen, and this kid not because he's makbid on eating betahara, and everything was tumantara. His nickname was Yochanan, the guy that eats challah, meaning the freshest challah, which is truma. Hello, Rebbe likun al piv, and Rebbe said, "Okay, if so, you're kohen." I have to say the famous ma'isa over here because it's part of the pshat. Guy came to the Rav and said, "Rabbi, I want to be a kohen." He said, "You want to be a kohen? Why do you want to be a kohen?" He says, because my father's a kohen and my grandfather here was a kohen, so I also want to be a kohen. Okay. Nobody laughed. Not the Israeli. I'm trying it out. I want to see. It's a ma'aser shekimatoya. You got to know this. It's part of the chat over there. Hello, Rebbe Likun al Piv. He said that his father's a kohen and he remembers this, that, so they made him a kohen. Truma the Rabbanon. Says Gemara, we're only talking about Truma the Rabbanon. What's Truma the Rabbanon? Anybody know? What's Truma the Rabbanon? Huh? Vegetables, very good. But that's not the pshat over here. No, it's good that he said that. He's right. Vegetables. It means Truma outside of Eretz Yisrael. Vakati Dairais Eloi, Voch Rav Dimi Omer Rav Chana, Kartigna, Varla Ravacha Kartigna, Mishtoi. Maisa, another story of Baisai. Givaldik. Maisa Bolifnei Rebbe Shubin Levi Amilo Maisa Bolifnei Rebbe. Betinu Kechat Shoim Mesiach Levi Tumoi. V'Omar Ani V'Imi Nish Binu L'Bein HaGoyim. This is not a good story. They were both hostages. Noirvayim. Yonadiyayim. Hostages. By the Goyim. Yotzasi L'Shiv Ma'im Dati Alimi. Look, Yodesim Dati Alimi. I always made sure that the Namatama her. Even if I went out, I had my eyes, ears open. V'Sio Rebbe Al Piv L'Kuna. And he said, but he was Mesiach Levitumai. So you see, for a woman to marry a kohen, if she's a zayna, meaning she's nitma to the guy, not on purpose, but she's still a zayna, she can't marry a kohen. He said you couldn't marry a kohen. Why? Because the kid said, as a story, that his mother never became tmeya. Says Gemara b'shvuya kilu that this chashash that she became tmeya to a guy that's only with the rabbanon. Oh, we have a minute left. Let's get to the Mishnah. We'll get to the Mishnah and we'll be fine. Just to remind you what soichai is, because you guys forgot already. This is soichai that you're allowed to chop down a branch that has the bees on it. So there's a Tnai Bezdin. Bezdin instituted that if your bees, which are very, very valuable, run away, you could chop down your friend's branch without asking permission, and you pay him for it. Because it's a oh, sorry. We're going to have the Mishnah coming up also, and there's going to be a steer to that Mishnah, a little bit of Shaila. That what? I have wine in my barrel. You have very expensive honey. I spill out my wine. I save your honey because it's broken. The barrel's broken. I get paid for all my wine that I spilled out. The Mishnah is going to tell us you don't get anything for your wine. You only get for your time. But we'll explain that when we get there. You have a donkey full of wood. Knock it off. And help your friend with his more valuable flax. All you need to do is take some of his flax and it pays up for the wood. Shaman Askein, Hinchli Yeshua Yisrael. So that he said it on this condition: I'm giving you land in Eretz Yisrael on condition that you're good to your neighbors. You help them out when necessary. A boy say, have a good Voch, have a good week.